Today I want to talk about bird of paradise, and before I go into the care, I want to start by talking about the different types of bird of paradise. There are two that are commonly offered as houseplant: the orange bird of paradise and the white bird of paradise. The one that I have here is the white or giant bird of paradise. Obviously the giant is bigger. The shape of the leaves are also a little bit different. The orange bird of paradise, the leaf is a little bit more tapered, not as wide at the bottom here. The white bird of paradise has a white flower and the orange bird of paradise has an orange flower. The growth patterns are also different. The orange bird of paradise tends to spread horizontally, kind of like a hosta, and the white bird of paradise tend to grow more upwards. So as the lower leaves are gonna die, the center part here is gonna form a little bit of a trunk-like structure. So you're gonna have a trunk with leaves at the top. It also will form babies at the base. As far as potting, bird of paradise are not very specific or picky. This one is potted in a mix of half perlite and half commercial potting mix. I repot it when it's root bound, and when repotting, it's important to not disturb the roots as much as you can. And I'll get into why a little bit later. So just put it in its new pot and backfill with your potting mix. Again, not very picky, just fertilize during the growing season. So usually it's spring and summer, and you can use pretty much any type of fertilizer. Use what you like and what you're used to use. I like to use slow release granules that you spread on top and then mix with the first inch or so of soil. Bird of paradise are gonna do fine in your average house temperature. They can tolerate as low as 13 degrees Celsius, which is 56 degrees Fahrenheit. They are fine in household humidity. They prefer higher humidity, but they can tolerate low humidity. Light is the biggest problem of the indoor bird of paradise. They love full sun. So if you can, put them outside in the summer so that they can enjoy the light that they like. Indoors, give them as much direct sun as you can. Obviously, I'm in Canada, so my bird of paradise has to live indoors in the winter. Because of the way my house is oriented, I can't give it direct sunlight. So what I do is I put it under grow lights. I have two LED 120 watts grow lights, and they're on 14 hours a day. And with that setup, he has been producing new leaves all winter, one after the other. So I think he really likes that setup. They can be big drinkers, especially if they are in full sun. You're gonna have to water really frequently. If they're indoors, obviously it's gonna be less. What I do is I water as soon as he's dry. So I use a moisture meter, and when it's in the red, I water. I always water thoroughly. If it's outdoors, I just take the hose and I water until I see a lot of water coming down the drain holes. Indoors, I leave it in its cover pot and then I water and let the water level go up in the cover pot, and I let it soak for about half an hour. After that, I take it out, let it drain really, really well, usually about an hour, and that's it. After that, take it back in its cover pot and back in its spot. Sometimes you'll see the leaves curl up, and that can be a sign of a few things. One is that it badly needs to be watered and it has been dry for too long. It can mean that it's cold. It can mean that there's a draft hitting it, or it can mean that the air is too dry around it. Another concern that a lot of people have is the tears in the leaves, and that mostly affects the giant bird of paradise. The leaves just split easily with the wind or with manipulations or when you clean the leaves, and it's really not detrimental to the plant. The leaf is still healthy, it's still able to produce energy for the plant. So that's nothing to be worried about. And speaking of leaves, it's important to clean those leaves because they're big leaves, they can accumulate a lot of dust, and the dust creates a barrier to the light. So it reduces the energy that the plant is able to produce. It reduces the light that actually gets to the leaf. We all hope that our bird of paradise is gonna flower. If you have the white bird of paradise, it is unlikely to flower indoors. So I would not hold my breath on that. If you have the orange bird of paradise, it can flower indoors. It takes time, it takes a lot of light, and it's important not to disturb the roots because that is going to delay the flowering by probably many years. Anytime you decide to split your orange bird of paradise, you are pushing the flowering years away. Usually it's going to flower between 5 to 15 years of age, and the older it is, the more it flowers usually. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, give it a like and consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you for joining me, and I hope to see you again real soon. Bye!